For centuries, possessing a robe with this specific pattern was a crime punishable by immediate execution. Yet today, over 1 billion people proudly claim to be the descendants of this very same creature. Imagine standing on the precipice of a high, mist-shrouded mountain peak in central China, where the air is thin and the silence is profound. Below you, the landscape unfurls like a painting of green ink on silk, endless valleys, twisting rivers, and jagged cliffs that seem to claw at the heavens. Suddenly, the silence is broken, not by the screech of a hawk or the roar of a tiger, but by the deep, resonant rumble of thunder rolling across the valley floor. The clouds above begin to swirl, darkening into a bruised charcoal heavy with the promise of rain. In the west, a scene like this might conjure fear, a warning to seek shelter from a beast that breathes fire and hoards gold in a desolate cave. But here, in the spiritual heart of the East, this atmospheric turbulence signals something entirely different. It signals a blessing. Look closer at the churning clouds. There, weaving through the vapor, is a flash of iridescent azure and gold. It is a serpentine form, endless and undulating, moving with the fluid grace of a river current. It has no wings, yet it commands the sky. It breathes no fire, yet it controls the life-giving heat of the sun. This is the Lóng, the Chinese dragon. To encounter this creature is not to face a monster, but to meet a god. It is the architect of the seasons, the breather of mists, and the pulse of the earth itself. Today, we are not merely telling the story of a mythical animal. We are tracing the spiritual spine of a civilization that has looked to the skies for 5,000 years and seen not a predator, but a mirror of its own potential greatness. We are about to explore why this single image has the power to unite an empire, define a philosophy, and survive the rise and fall of dynasties. Welcome to Culture Journey. Today, we are embarking on a voyage into the soul of one of the world's most enduring, complex, and misunderstood symbols, the Chinese dragon. When we think of China, our minds might drift to the stone fortifications of the Great Wall, the delicate aroma of a tea ceremony, or the neon glow of Shanghai. But underlying all of these, woven into the silk of the emperor's robes, carved into the wooden eaves of ancient temples, and painted onto the porcelain bowls of humble families, is the dragon. It is a symbol so potent that it defined the divine right of kings, yet so universal that it belongs to the farmer praying for rain in the fields. To understand the Lóng is to understand the geography and the agrarian roots of China itself. In a land defined by the mighty flow of the Yellow River and the Yangtze, water was the ultimate giver of life, and the dragon was its master. But the question remains, how did a creature made of pure myth become the defining identity of 1 billion people? Why do Chinese communities around the world, from Beijing to San Francisco, identify as descendants of the dragon? Together, we will peel back the layers of history. We will walk through the forbidden gates of imperial palaces, sail down the misty rivers of folklore, and dance to the beat of drums in a crowded street festival. We will discover the 9 sons of the dragon hiding in plain sight on ancient architecture, and learn why the dragon's roar is actually the sound of hope. To truly appreciate the dragon, we must first look at it closely, much closer than a fleeting glance in a movie or a parade. If you were to freeze time and examine a classical depiction of a Chinese dragon, you would see that it is not a singular animal. It is a biological chimera, a magnificent composite of the natural world's most powerful and resilient creatures. Ancient texts describe the dragon as possessing the 9 Resemblances, a specific anatomical list that reads like a puzzle of nature. Visualize this chimera with me. Look closely. It wears the antlers of a deer, signifying longevity. Its head is that of a camel, representing tireless stamina. Look at the eyes. They are the eyes of a demon, sharp, piercing through all deception. Its neck winds like a snake. Its belly is soft like a clam. Its scales, they are the shimmering armor of a carp, 81 in number. The claws are the precise talons of an eagle. The paws belong to the tiger, and its ears are the ears of an ox, forever listening to the prayers of the common people. There is a profound historical theory behind this biological puzzle. Historians and anthropologists suggest that this composite form is actually a map of ancient political unity. As the legendary Yellow Emperor, the mythical ancestor of the Chinese people, conquered and united various Neolithic tribes along the Yellow River, he did not destroy their totems, Instead, he absorbed them. He took the snake totem of one tribe, the deer of another, the eagle of a third, and fused them into a single, unifying banner. Think about the wisdom in that action. The dragon is not just a magical creature, it is a symbol of harmony born from diversity. It represents the coming together of disparate peoples into a collective whole. When a person looks at a dragon, they are seeing a visual history of how a civilization was stitched together, scale by scale, tribe by tribe, thousands of years ago. It's fascinating to think about how symbols evolve. If you had to create a creature that represented your own community or country today, which animals would you combine to show its strengths? The idea of a united totem is a powerful way to think about identity. As we move from the tribal era into the grand dynasties of the Han, Tang, and Ming, the dragon ascends from a totem of the people to the throne of the Son of Heaven. For over 2,000 years, the dragon was the exclusive avatar of the emperor. If you were a traveler entering the Forbidden City in Beijing during the height of the Ming Dynasty, the presence of the dragon would be overwhelming. It is carved into the marble ramps over which the emperor's palanquin was carried. Stones so heavy, they required thousands of men and horses to transport on roads made of ice in the dead of winter. It is painted in gold leaf on the ceiling of the Hall of Supreme Harmony, staring down with a pearl of wisdom in its mouth. But there was a strict hierarchy to this imagery. This was the era of the five-clawed dragon. While lesser nobles might be permitted to wear dragons with 4 claws and commoners might use 3, the 5-clawed golden dragon was reserved solely for the emperor. This wasn't just decoration. It was a declaration of cosmic legitimacy. The emperor was considered the intermediary between heaven and earth. Just as the dragon bridged the gap between the deep oceans and the high clouds, the emperor bridged the mortal realm and the divine. To wear the 5-clawed dragon without authorization was to claim the mandate of heaven, an act of treason often punishable by the execution of one's entire family. The dragon represented yang energy, masculine, active, warm, and bright, often paired with the phoenix, representing yin energy, the empress. Together, they symbolized perfect marital and cosmic balance, the fundamental dualism of the universe. Let us step away from the rigid grandeur of the palaces and walk out into the rice paddies, the tea plantations, and the fishing villages. Here, the dragon sheds its imperial golden robes and takes on the colors of nature: blue, green, and black. In the West, dragons are often depicted as hoarders, sleeping on piles of gold in caves, demanding sacrifices. In China, the dragon is a worker. It is the deity of agriculture. In a society historically dependent on rice and wheat, rain is more valuable than gold. The dragon, believed to hibernate in deep pools or oceans during winter and ascend to the heavens in spring, was the engine of the hydrological cycle. There is a beautiful legend of the 4 dragon kings, each governing a sea surrounding China, north, south, east, and west. Legend has it that once, when a terrible drought struck the land, the Jade Emperor in heaven forgot to send rain. The 4 dragons, hearing the desperate prayers of the starving people, scooped up water from the sea in their mouths and sprayed it across the sky to save the crops. They were punished for acting without orders, transformed into 4 great rivers, the Heilongjiang, the Yellow River, the Yangtze, and the Pearl River, so they could serve the people for eternity. This connection to water extends to the famous legend of the Carp and the Dragon Gate. The story tells of thousands of carp swimming upstream against the Yellow River's fierce current. Most give up, exhausted, but a few, through sheer perseverance, leap over a massive waterfall known as the Dragon Gate. In that moment of triumph, the carp is struck by lightning and transforms into a celestial dragon. This is perhaps one of the most inspiring metaphors in all of Asian culture. It tells us that nobility is not just about bloodline, it is about effort. A humble fish can become a god through hard work, grit, and determination. This story was often used to encourage scholars studying for the grueling imperial exams, and today it remains a symbol of academic and career success. Have you ever felt like that carp swimming against a current that felt too strong? The legend says that the transformation happens only at the moment of greatest resistance. It's a beautiful reminder that our biggest struggles often precede our greatest changes. Beyond the main dragon we all recognize, Chinese mythology offers a delightful expansion of the lore known as the Nine Sons of the Dragon. These siblings are distinct. They look nothing like their father, yet they are hidden in plain sight across every Chinese city, waiting for the observant traveler to find them. First, enter the temple courtyard and look down. That giant turtle bearing a heavy stone monument on its shell? That is Bixi, the eldest son. Possessing supernatural strength, he loves to carry heavy burdens, preserving history on his back for eternity. Now step into the quiet hall where incense swirls. The lion-like creature sitting calmly amidst the smoke on the incense burner is Suani. Unlike his active brothers, he loves silence and contemplation, watching over the prayers as they rise to the heavens. Look up to the high roof ridges. The beast swallowing the end of the beam with its wide mouth is Chiwen. He loves to gaze into the distance and swallow fire, serving as a magical guardian against conflagrations. But cast your gaze higher to the very corners of the sweeping eaves. The silhouette daringly perched on the precipice is Chaofeng. He loves adventure in high places, forever acting as a sentinel against the horizon. Suddenly, a temple bell rings. Look at the loop on top of that bronze bell. That is Pulao, the small dragon who lives near the sea but is terribly afraid of whales. Legend says that when struck by a whale, he screams. Thus he is carved there to ensure the prayer rings loud and true. If you hear the gentle strumming of a traditional lute, look at the instrument's head. Perched there is Chunyu, the son who loves music above all else. He is the patron of melody, forever listening to the songs of the people. Now, walk towards the gates of a court or prison. The fierce, tiger-like face staring back at you is Bian. He loves justice and litigation, maintaining order with his unblinking gaze and distinguishing right from wrong. In the armory, inspect the hilt of a sword. The creature with a mouth gaping, ready to devour the blade, is Yazi. He possesses a fiery temper and lusts for battle, adding spiritual lethality to the warrior's steel. And finally, as you leave, walk across the ancient stone bridge. The beast carved into the arch, gazing down at the rushing river, is Gongfu. He loves water and protects travelers from floods, ensuring a safe passage home. These stories add such a rich layer of texture to the physical world. The dragon is not just one entity. It is a family of traits: strength, silence, vigilance, adventure, loudness, melody, justice, power, and protection, embedded into the very stones of the city. Now let's fast forward to the present day. Let's immerse ourselves in the noise and color of a celebration. You cannot talk about the dragon without hearing the deafening crash of cymbals and the boom of drums. Imagine the streets of a crowded city during the Lunar New Year. The air smells of sulfur from firecrackers and sweet red bean paste from street vendors. Suddenly, the crowd parts. A massive, colorful creature weaves through the throng. This is the dragon dance. The dragon here is made of bamboo, silk, and paper, held aloft on poles by a team of dancers. This is not a solo performance. It is a test of perfect synchronization. The person holding the head must lead, but if the tail does not follow the rhythm, the dragon breaks. It requires absolute unity, a physical manifestation of community cooperation. The dragon chases a spherical object held by a lead dancer. This is the Pearl of Wisdom, or the Pearl of Heaven. The dance is a celestial pursuit. The dragon is forever chasing wisdom, knowledge, and enlightenment. It is a pursuit that never ends, reminding us that the journey for truth is eternal. And then there is the Dragon Boat Festival, or Duanwu. Held in early summer, this festival commemorates the poet Qi Yuan. Long, narrow boats shaped like dragons, painted with fierce scales and open mouths, cut through the river water. Drummers sit at the front, beating a rhythm that mimics the heartbeat of the dragon itself. The paddlers row in unison, their muscles straining. Did you know that originally, this racing wasn't just a sport? It was an attempt to scare away fish and evil spirits from the body of the drowned poet Qi Yuan, and later, a ritual to appease the river dragons to prevent flooding. It is a raw, energetic display of humanity trying to negotiate with the forces of nature. If you were sitting in one of those dragon boats, paddle in hand, feeling the spray of water and the pounding of the drum in your chest, what do you think that adrenaline would feel like? It is a moment where the boundary between the modern human and the ancient myth completely dissolves. As we move into the glass and steel skylines of modern Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Singapore, you might expect the dragon to fade into history books. But the opposite is true. The dragon has simply adapted. In the practice of feng shui, the landscape is read through the body of the dragon. Mountains are seen as dragon veins. A city or a home must be positioned to benefit from the flow of qi that moves like a dragon through the earth. Look at the architecture of Hong Kong. There are skyscrapers with literal holes, large square gaps built into the middle of the structures. These are dragon gates, designed to allow the dragons from the mountains behind the city to fly down to the water to drink without being blocked. To block the dragon's path would invite bad luck and economic ruin. Even in a city driven by the stock market and technology, the ancient beast still dictates the skyline. In modern pop culture and language, the dragon is everywhere. Parents hope for dragon babies because they are believed to be destined for success and good fortune. Birth rates actually spike in dragon years. The idiom Wang Zicheng Long translates to, hoping one's son will become a dragon. It is the universal wish of every parent for their child to succeed. The dragon has evolved from a terrifying totem of an emperor to a badge of cultural pride. When someone says they have the spirit of the dragon and the horse, Long Ma Jing Shen, they are wishing you boundless energy and vitality even in old age. It has become a symbol of the Chinese spirit itself, resilient, dynamic, and endlessly adaptable. As our journey comes to a close, the storm we watched at the beginning has passed. The clouds have parted, leaving a sky of brilliant azure. The dragon has done its work, bringing the rain that feeds the fields, and has returned to the deep waters or the high heavens. We have traveled from the tribal fires of the Yellow Emperor, through the golden halls of the Forbidden City, across the stormy rivers of folklore, and into the architecture of the modern world. We have seen that the Chinese dragon is not a monster. It is a mosaic of nature, a symbol of authority, a bringer of abundance, and a metaphor for human potential. The dragon teaches us that power is not about destruction, it is about nurturing. It teaches us that we are all composites of our pasts. The dragon continues to fly, not merely in the myths of the past, but in the aspirations of the future. It reminds us that even in the fiercest storm, there is order. Even in the humblest origin, there is greatness. We just have to look up and find the magic in the rain. Thank you for being part of this journey with us today. There is a saying that simply reading about the mountains is not the same as walking them. We hope this story has transported you, even for a moment, to a world where myths breathe and history lives in the architecture of the everyday. We are building a community of explorers here, people who are curious about the why behind the world's most beautiful traditions. We would love to hear your voice in this conversation. Does your culture have a mythical creature that is misunderstood? Or perhaps you have a personal story about the Dragon Boat Festival or Lunar New Year. Please share your thoughts and stories in the discussion below. Your insights help us all travel a little further and understand a little deeper. If you wish to continue exploring the hidden corners of our shared human heritage, we invite you to stay with us as we prepare for our next destination. There are always more rivers to cross and more legends to uncover. Until next time.